This morning, we read one of the Torah's most disturbing episodes. In the midst of joy of sacred service and divine closeness, tragedy strikes. Two sons of Aharon, Nadav and Avihu, bring an offering of fire before God. This offering is not commanded, it is not authorized, and suddenly, Vatetze eish milifnei Adonai, and a fire came forth from God, v'tochal otam, and it consumed them. The Torah calls this fire an eish zara, a strange fire. What was so wrong? What did they do? Were they arrogant, too eager? Were they trying to innovate in a way that God was not satisfied with? Were they, as some commentaries suggest, were they drunk? Whatever their intent, their offering seemed to traverse a sacred boundary, and they paid the price, the ultimate price. Our Haftarah echoes that tension. King David is bringing the ark to Jerusalem with music and joy. The oxen carrying the ark stumble. Uzzah reaches out to steady the ark, to catch it, to prevent it from falling. And God is unhappy. Uzzah dies. Vayichar af Adonai be'Uzzah, God's anger flared against Uzzah, vayomot sham, and he died there. Another moment of spiritual zeal, another sacred boundary crossed, another tragedy. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, taught on this parsha that there are two types of fire, one that illuminates and purifies, and one that consumes and destroys. We are called on, he wrote, to make distinctions between the sacred and the profane, between fire that is holy and fire that is wild. When we forget that distinction, we risk bringing not holiness, but destruction. Intent is not enough. Fire needs boundaries. Power needs restraint. This is the message that Israeli President Bougie Herzog shared on Yom HaShoah just this last week. The Holocaust teaches us, he said, what happens when systems are stripped of soul, when law, government, even science are used not to protect, but to persecute. On Yom HaShoah, we remember not only the victims, but the failure of conscience in an entire civilization. One survivor said, "It wasn't the monsters who terrified me the most. It was the ordinary people, teachers, neighbors, shopkeepers, doctors, lawyers, judges, who stood by, who followed orders, who said nothing." That too is an eish zara, a strange fire. And we know that this strange fire still burns. Antisemitism did not perish in Auschwitz. It reappears in new forms, on new platforms. These days, much closer to home than we sometimes want to believe. The Torah in just a few weeks will implore us, Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, don't stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. And so when hate rises, even here at home, we cannot stand idly by. Judy Weisenberg-Cohen knew this. Judy is a Holocaust survivor who rebuilt her life here in Toronto. She met the embers of hate again decades after her liberation. I heard her story Wednesday night at the community commemoration of Yom HaShoah. At 97 years old, she stood on her own 2 feet before a large crowd of our community and again retold this story. An incident that occurred in 1993 at the streets at the corner of Bloor and Bay Streets. She was walking during her lunch break and she heard white supremacists chanting. Among them was Wolfgang Droge, a neo-Nazi leader. When he denied the horrors of African slavery, she knew what was going to come next, the denial of the Holocaust. So she stepped forward with courage and said aloud to everyone there who would listen, "This man is nothing but a bloody neo-Nazi." Her voice disrupted his hate, and that moment changed her. It shaped her calling to speak, to teach, to remember. Because as she reminded us, evil is not only in the history books, it walks on our streets, and our silence gives it oxygen. In that place, at that time, she is what the Mishnah calls an ish, or an isha, a person who steps forward with courage and leadership. She stepped forward at that moment to extinguish the Eish Zara, the strange fire of hate that was on our streets here in Toronto. I saw a clip this week of Michal Cutler-Wunsch, Erwin Cutler's daughter, who was here a couple months ago, I think it was, maybe in the fall, in September. She's Israel's ambassador to combat anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. She was giving a speech for Yom HaShoah in Australia. And she reminded the audience and us that Israel does not exist because of the Holocaust. Israel is not a reparation prize for the Shoah. Furthermore, she said, anyone teaching that Israel is a 76-year-old European colonial project that was meant to repair the atrocities of the Holocaust is fueling modern-day anti-Semitism. This, too, is an Eish Zara, a strange fire, a distortion of history and of truth. Israel, whose 77th Yom Ha'atzmaut we will celebrate next week, is the nation-state of the Jewish people. It is the culmination of 2,000 years of aspiration to return and 127 years of modern political advocacy to achieve it. Israel, as Michal says, is the state of a prototypical indigenous people. That's us. This Shabbat, we stand between Yom HaShoah and Yom Ha'atzmaut. As we look toward Yom Ha'atzmaut, we're filled with awe. The Jewish people are today no longer powerless, no longer subject to the whims of rulers of the nations in which we live. Israel ensures that. Israel, on the contrary, is quite powerful. And with that kind of power also comes awesome responsibility. Rabbi Daniel Hartman is one of the most important thought leaders on this topic. He teaches that Jewish power is not a redemptive tool in and of itself. It is a tool. What matters is what kind of society we build. Even national pride, he teaches, must be tempered with reverence and humility. Today's strange fire, today's Eish Zara, does not appear on an altar in the Mishkan in a tabernacle, but in public discourse. When political leaders exploit fear or division, when anti-Semitism is excused or reframed, when rhetoric and social media fuel hate. The Torah warns us, passion is not permission, and even holy intentions can burn. Parshat Shmini warns us of the risks associated with fire and the dangers associated with strange or alien fire. As Jews, we are called not only to remember, to learn the lessons of our Torah and of our past, but to act, to be guardians of conscience in a world where fire still spreads too easily. So we ask, we pray, that on this Shabbat between Yom HaShoah and Yom HaAtzmaut, we carry Jewish memory and Jewish power, but will we do so with restraint? Will we build a society where passion is guided by principle and strength by soul? Let our fire be holy. Let it purify, not destroy. Let it illuminate a path towards justice, peace, and dignity for all. Shabbat Shalom.